Welcome to Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health. I'm Bob McElligott, along with John Davidson, the Blue Jackets president of hockey operations, here to talk about realignment. John, this finally comes official. The Blue Jackets are going to the Eastern Conference. How excited are you?
Oh, well, I'm excited. I'm also very excited for all the people who did a lot of work. Mike Priest, the president of the team, really got the ball rolling here quite some time ago, and it came to fruition finally, and it's exciting. I think it's exciting for everybody, for the fans, the players, the coaches, the people that watch games or listen to the games on the radio. It's beneficial. There's a lot of common sense that goes into the Columbus Blue Jackets being in the Eastern Conference in an Eastern time zone. It just makes sense. So with that being said, I just get this sense that everybody's pretty excited about it. We're going to see a lot more of the Penguins. They're right down the road. That's good. We're still going to see Detroit. And the other thing I learned while I was in St. Louis, and I've talked to a lot of fans here about it, fans want to see every team at least once in their own building during the season, and we're still going to have that. So I think it's a win-win for us.
And I wanted to ask you about that specifically because you've built rivalries throughout the years with Chicago and with St. Louis, and those teams will still come here. It won't be as frequently, but is it nice to have that, knowing that you'll still play those teams?
Yeah, absolutely. That's important. I think fans, if there's great players to see in other cities, why shouldn't the fans have the opportunity to see them? And I think that's important. And in some ways, it also stays away from seeing the same team too much, which I think is important. Listen, this is a situation now where when you think of watching a game on television, listening to the game on the radio, it's a reasonable hour. That helps everybody involved, the fan listening and watching, the people who get involved with the business of television or radio and involved with advertising. That means there's going to be more viewers and more listeners. That's a win-win. The players should have more time at home in their own beds, which makes for more practice time, which should make you a better hockey club, especially a developing hockey club. There's the idea of coming back from a road trip and getting into bed at a reasonable hour instead of losing that hour all the time, which adds up over the years. Players, to me, have come up to me and said, boy, it's different here. It's tough. It's not as easy as being in the East. So hopefully it's going to help our franchise from all the way at the top all the way through.
It's easy to look at the division that the Blue Jackets will be in and see Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, the two New York teams, New Jersey, Washington, Carolina. That's a very tough division. Yeah. When you look at it on the surface, you probably think, wow, that's going to be hard. But look at the Central Division. This is no walk in the park.
There's 30 teams in this league, and they all can play hard. And I look at that, and people ask that question. Boy, it's going to be harder to make the playoffs. Boy, it's going to be this and that. You know what? It's up to us. It's up to us to build the team that we need to have to make sure we find a way into the playoffs. And sure, it's going to be hard, but it's hard for everybody else too. It's a tight league. It's a great league, and you have to go for it. You have to learn how to build. I remember years ago living in Alberta, doing television with the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames. Both teams I was working and doing a lot of games, and Edmonton was so good with Gretzky and Messier and Fuhr and Coffey and all these guys, but Calgary built a team to beat them and did. And they had great players, but you have to go through that process. And you just can't let those teams be good. You got to find a way to beat them, and that's what we're going to try to do.
When it was all said and done, were you surprised at all? Because if you look back to last year, the Blue Jackets were going to stay in the West, and they were going to stay in kind of this Midwest type of division. You mentioned all the hard work that was done behind the scenes. Are you surprised that everybody finally agreed on this unbalanced conference and doing what was right, putting both Detroit and Columbus in the East?
Nothing's perfect. It's just impossible to have everything perfect, but it's pretty darn close. And I think I think that the league and everybody associated with this decision process realized that if one goes, they both should go. I'm talking about Detroit and Columbus. It didn't make sense for one and not the other. And I know Detroit's had a lot more. There's a lot more history. They've been in this league many, many more years than the Blue Jackets. But I appreciate that the league and the Board of Governors and Gary Bettman and everybody involved took a look at the Columbus Blue Jackets and felt it was important for our business and for our fans to have this happen. And I think that there's a lot of people that did the right thing here, which is going to be beneficial to our franchise.
I know you want to grow from within, but when the time comes where you're looking to recruit from the outside, how much does this help you being in the Eastern Conference?
Won't hurt. Won't hurt. There's players that when you free agent-wise and things, a lot of times they'll look at a city, and is it a good city for their family, for schooling, for quality of life? Oh, boy, do they travel. Ugh, do they ever get home late at night and all this stuff? Being in the Eastern Conference, that disappears. It can't help but help us. So that's just another way of this being a another asterisk put on the side of this whole thing to help our franchise become better.
JD, thanks as
My
always.
pleasure. Thanks.
John Davidson, he's the president of hockey operations for the Blue Jackets. I'm Bob McElligott. Thanks for watching Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.